Hello everyone, my name is Christophe. I'm a software architect at AppDirect, and I'm going to talk to you about the services brokerage abilities that have been added to Cloud Foundry v2 and that have been built in partnership between Cloud Foundry and AppDirect. So I realized that the word services is a very overloaded term in this industry. And when I'm talking about service providers and services are really the services that application developers are going to need to make the application more stateful and more rich. So this is going to cover database as a service like MongoDBs or MySQL DBs, as well as performance monitoring and so on. So first, a little background on AppDirect for those of you who may not have heard about it. So AppDirect is a company that was founded back in 2009. And we set up as a company to build marketplaces to distribute online web applications to businesses. So the idea is that application developers would tie into our platform and we'll be releasing marketplaces to distribute those applications to businesses. So we launched in 2009. We've had a lot of traction early on, and we started releasing marketplaces all around the world, including Staples, Deutsche Telekom, and many others. And the value proposition that we have for both partners and application developers or service providers is that service providers can integrate once to our platform and then be distributed on our network of marketplaces. An interesting tidbit is that we are a Java shop here. We haven't switched to Go yet. And we rely heavily on the Spring Framework and a lot of open source technologies. And so it's a great privilege, and we're very excited to be able to be part of the Cloud Foundry family. So just going over a little timeline of the history of AppDirect. So shortly after, a little over a year after starting, we launched our first public marketplace, which is Bell Canada, one of the leading telco in Canada. And as time passed by, we started growing our inventory or our catalog of services, as well as getting more and more traction in the partner space and getting bigger names such as Staples and Comcast and now Cloud Foundry. So really, just to reiterate, the idea is that service providers such as Redis, MongoLab, and SendGrid can integrate to our platform only once, and then we'll be distributing through a wide range of marketplaces throughout the world. Now, how does this bring us to Cloud Foundry, and why are we here today? So as I was mentioning, initially we started by distributing web applications. So your typical enterprise web application, like finance management application, or a time tracker, or project management. But we realized really early on that the way we were distributing applications was really agnostic of what service we were providing. And we could apply the exact same technology that we have built to distribute services for developers. So the fit was a really good fit between Cloud Foundry and AppDirect, because we would be able to extend the capabilities of Cloud Foundry, as well as allowing Cloud Foundry developers to focus really on their core features, which is hosting, deploying, and managing developers' applications. So now the question on everybody's mind, hopefully, is how does this integration between Cloud Foundry, AppDirect, and all those application developers, all those service providers work? So this slide summarizes pretty much how things are connected. So we have on one side, you have Cloud Foundry, which is where developers are going to upload their application, whether it's a Java app or Ruby app or anything. And then on the other side, you have the service providers, which is all the databases as a service, New Relic for monitoring your application, SendGrid if you want to send emails. And really, AppDirect acts as a hub between those two. So anytime a developer is going to go to the CF command line, or maybe later the new Go command line, and is going to create a service, it's really going to send a message from Cloud Foundry to AppDirect. And AppDirect is going to see like which is the space or which user is creating this service, what service is being instantiating, and then routing it to the right service provider for provisioning. So we have two sets of APIs, as shown here. We have the provisioning API, which is what we've been using for the past 3 years in AppDirect, which is basically creating account, modifying them, canceling them when the user doesn't want them anymore. We've had to add like a couple extra features for Cloud Foundry, which has the concept of service binding. So when you're a developer, you're going to upload your application, and if you want to start using the service that you purchased or you obtain from a service provider, you're going to have to bind it to your app. So we extended our set of APIs and our platform to support that use case as well. Now, just to go over, so since AppDirect sits in the middle between the Cloud Foundry and the service providers, there are really two different integrations. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the service provider integration, which is what any service provider who wants to distribute his services on Cloud Foundry would go through. So the first two steps are pretty straightforward. Like we have a standalone CMS environment where a service provider can log in, create an account, and start entering information about the services he wants to distribute on Cloud Foundry. So it's a web interface where the user can enter the profile information, can upload screenshots, can describe in terms of features and benefits why their services are great for developers, as well as upload other informations. Then the next step is to describe the pricing configuration. Like we have inside AppDirect a very powerful billing engine, which can handle pretty much any kind of billing configuration that are currently used by service providers. So that's when the service provider is going to describe, I have a database as a service with 3 plans. I have a free plan that's going to be free for developers with a maximum of 1 gigabyte of data, for example. And then I'm going to have a pro version, which is going to be priced at $40 a month, and so on. Now, the last step of this integration is really the most technical part, which is the API integration. So anytime a user goes to Cloud Foundry and does create service, it's going to send a call to AppDirect, and AppDirect is then going to route this call to the service provider. So the service provider has to expose a couple of what we call event listeners, or really they are more like webhooks. It's just little endpoint that AppDirect is going to ping them on to say, hey, something happened, somebody just tried to provision your service, somebody just canceled it. And so we have different, what we call verbs or events, like creating a subscription, changing it, canceling it. We also have user-based capabilities for assignment and access control, and obviously single sign-on so that the user who's purchasing an account can also manage it directly from the service provider interface. The user goes to the CF command line and run one of those 4 commands for the services, and it gets translated into the AppDirect terminology of events, which is creating a subscription, which is going to hold all your services together, and creating an order for an add-on, which is really what we call a service, binding it, unbinding it, and so on. So the command goes to AppDirect, AppDirect routes it to the service provider, the service provider gets the notification, is able to pull information about what event happened, processes it, and then return the success back to AppDirect, and then the Cloud Foundry users gets his service. The other side is the Cloud Foundry integration. How does the catalog built in AppDirect gets pulled into the Cloud Foundry interface and the Cloud Foundry system? So there are a couple of APIs in play here. So the first one is just a very basic listing API. All the service providers who have integrated to AppDirect can be pulled through a REST API by Cloud Foundry as a listing. So it reads all the app name, description. It's a pretty lightweight API that Cloud Foundry calls periodically to see what other services are available. The next one is a little more heavyweight, is a little more detailed. It's a profile API. Now that you have the list of services that are available, you can actually pull more information and pull the information that was entered by the service provider. That's where you're going to see all the features, the benefits, the screenshots, and so on. And that's what Cloud Foundry is going to use to build their marketplace interface. And lastly, which is more like under the hood, whenever the user tries to purchase a service and actually does actions such as binding the service to his application, unbinding it, this is going to call a different set of APIs, which is the service APIs that are exposed by AppDirect. And Cloud Foundry is going to send messages to those APIs so that we can route it to the right service providers. In addition to that, we also have a billing integration with Cloud Foundry, so that all the charges that are incurred by the user, by the application developers, when he's building his application, if he wants to get a large database, for example, will be then charged back to the Cloud Foundry bill, so that you have a single point of billing. So just to finish, I just want to keep it short. Just a screenshot showing like the almost like an end-to-end scenario. I don't have any fancy live demo, but so on the left side, you can see the CMS and how it looks like on AppDirect. This is where the service provider is going to log in and start describing his offering. So you can configure the name, some code that is going to be used in the integration, as well as the price and various marketing content. And then the result of all this integration is after Cloud Foundry has pulled this listing, has pulled the catalog, then they're able to display this information to the user, to the end user in the Cloud Foundry web console, currently running on run.pivotal.io, where you're going to see all your services, and you will be able to provision them and start using them inside your application. So this concludes my presentation. I don't think I have any more slides. Thank you very much.